My name is Jimmy Wolf, and I play Bill Sykes.
My name is Chelsea Lagan, and I play Nancy.
So, the story is very much a sort of prequel to Oliver that we focus on Bill and Nancy, how they met, how they came together as a couple, and I suppose in a sense of how it leads into their actual story of Oliver.
It's a very dysfunctional couple, to say the least, but you know what? They have their nice moments, I have to say.
They do.
These lodgings, oh, for fuck's sake! Lodgings. These lodgings have been for fuck's sake! Bleh! Derelict.
I wouldn't mind, but you said it as sticker fine.
I know. How is that possible? These lodgings have been derelict for years!
What the fuck are you talking like that, Nance?
I'll get nervous. Well, obviously, people that have either read Oliver or listened to the musical, as you know, who knows who Nancy is. Nancy's a very troubled soul. I feel she's just trying to make her way through life during that time in London, and basically I keep going to say Fagin. It's not. It's Fagin. He basically puts her out in her ear, and she kind of has to obviously try and get money and everything, especially during those times, which would most likely lead to either pickpocketing, which she's not really good at, or unfortunately prostituting. And she's very young. I didn't realize how young she was, but in this, she's what, about just, I think, maybe younger than 19. So not having anybody, not having any family, and she's having to go and find clients and things like that with older men. It's heartbreaking. But then she meets Bill, and I think she senses that, has that bit of sense of security with him, even though it's a very toxic relationship that they have. It's sad because she depends on him in a way, and as long as he needs her, then she's happy with whatever situation that is put before them, I guess.
So obviously, Bill Sykes is one of those classic villains of literature, and he's sort of always been well portrayed by many different people as this sort of gruff, typical criminal. But obviously, we've never sort of really seen a lot behind him. So when with Bill and Nancy, we sort of get to see more why he is the way he is, and how he's become who he is. He's an ex-soldier. He's obviously been through a war. He's seen a lot of horrible things, and it's scarred him for life. And so he's sort of drifted through life trying to sort of hold down steady jobs and things like that. But obviously he's undergone quite a lot of PTSD and things that he's seen, and obviously that's made him a very angry person, very understandably. And so he ends up obviously meeting with Nancy, and as Chelsea has said, Nancy is a very troubled soul. Obviously Bill is also a troubled soul, so they manage to sort of come together, and they're a very dysfunctional couple. Obviously it is sadly a tale of an abusive relationship as well, but it's not a case of that you don't want to we don't want to make it seem like we're trying to sort of justify the way that Bill treats Nancy, but we just sort of wanted to really explain why he is the way he is. And it's sort of one of those things, as I said, that's never really touched on in the original story. As far as I can remember, it's been a long time since I've actually read Oliver Twist. But it's, he's obviously a lot older than Nancy. Nancy's in her sort of late teens, and Bill's meant to be in his sort of late 30s, early 40s, I think. So he would have been a product of the time that would have been, I want to say, the Boer War, maybe?
Waterloo.
There we go. Way before then. So, so he's a product of, the Waterloo War. So again, he's seen a lot of things. He's been through a lot of traumatic events. And he just sort of he wants to find stability in his life, but he is his own worst enemy in very much that sort of respect. But by meeting Nancy and coming together with her, she sort of gives him that stability, and again tries to sort of fix him and be there for him when she can. And it's an interesting avenue of the character to explore, I think, because as I said, I don't think it's something that's ever really been done that many times to give them an actual backstory.
That's what I really like about this. Like, yes, you can maybe read a backstory, but like with this audio, it like thoroughly explores Bill's background and his, like, where his troubles and problems started. And then as well with Nancy, like hers obviously goes back in this audio anyway, it goes back to whenever she was a child. And her mother was a prostitute, and Nancy was left as a young girl to take care of her siblings. And I think being exposed to that as well is a heartbreaking thing to go through as a child, no matter what age it is. So there's always been with Nancy that sense, that duty of care and having to care for someone. I think that's why she stayed with Fagin that for a long time, because of the kids. And she could, be there for the kids as well and take care of the kids whenever he wasn't really doing a good job. So I think finding somebody that she feels protected by, but not protected by, but feels that she can like heal him and make him better in that sort of way is, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, but hopefully we do it justice and do a good job with it. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's also, that it's like I said, it is a story. It is a, albeit dysfunctional one, but it is a love story, because obviously Nancy can be there to look after the kids and everyone, but through Bill she gets something that she can't get from anybody else, in the sense of it being the more adult side of the relationship and things like that. And it's sort of even then that it's that sad tale of, obviously Nancy is very much mature beyond her years because she's had to be. It's not because she wanted to be. And so obviously, that's given her own emotional baggage. So it's an interesting play off the two, because again, I think in a lot of the sort of Oliver stories, Nancy doesn't sort of get a huge amount of well, neither does Bill, but Nancy doesn't get a huge amount of backstory, and I don't think you really fathom in her story either how much she is having to bear in herself. So it's interesting again to see the dynamic between the two, because they are both troubled spirits, but they are troubled spirits in a slightly dysfunctional harmony with each other.
Should I make more paint?
Can you say that again, unless like an android? Should I make more paint?
Should I make more paint, sir?
Should I make more paint?
Should I make more paint?
These are the paint parts.
Sorry.
I'm Abby Louise, and I wrote Bill and Nancy. So this story is about the origins of Nancy and Bill, because you don't really know about the origins. Charles Dickens never really wrote them in too much depth because they are very much kind of side characters to the Oliver's story. But it was nice to try and show parts of those characters that we've never seen before. Especially with the Bill side, because obviously he's always been portrayed as the villain, but what made him become that villain? Why has he got such a way of seeing things? So it was kind of nice to essentially make up my own version of a background for them. But yeah, there's going to be one more episode with Bill and Nancy. Purely because I had such fun writing this one.